Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Courtney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to both witnesses for your thoughtful testimony today. Admiral Harris, on September 15, 2021, President Biden announced the new AUKUS security agreement, Australia, U.S., and U.K., which seems perfectly aligned with the comments you just made a moment ago, which are on page 5 of your testimony, that, quote, America's single asymmetric strength is our network of security alliances and partnerships. David Ignatius, the veteran journalist at Washington Post, described AUKUS as, quote, the most important strategic move in decades. As someone who served as commander in Indo-Pacific, can you describe the strategic importance of AUKUS, in particular providing Australia with nuclear technology to have nuclear-powered submarine force as it relates to the priority of building regional partnership capacity in the Indo-Pacific?
Thanks, Congressman. AUKUS is supremely important. I mean, we're going to share the crown jewel of America's military technology, the nuclear submarine, the nuclear reactors, with another country, and that's Australia. We have not done that with any other country except for the UK back in the late 50s and into the 60s. So here we have the two countries with that capability, the United States and the UK, and we're going to share that with Australia. It's significant, but it's only going to be significant over the long term if we follow through. So it's a decade-long process. You know, some people, the CNO, Chief of Naval Operations, has said it could be 30 years before we see an Australian nuclear submarine underway in the Indian Ocean. I've said that if we put our hearts and minds to it and our resources to it, and by ours, I mean ours, the United States, the UK's, and Australia's, we can do this faster than that. I mean, we put a man on the moon in 8 years, and we developed a COVID vaccine in 1 year. We can do this, but we're going to have to put our shoulders to the task. For Australia, which has a tremendous military, for them to have the long reach of a nuclear submarine force would be dramatic. It would help us dramatically. It would change the balance of power in the Indian Ocean, and it will make Australia a blue water navy. They are our key ally in that part of the world, and I'm all for it. I can't wait.
Thank you, Admiral. And your comments about execution are very timely, because in about a month's time, the process that's been underway since the President's announcement is going to be going public and live. And one of the biggest questions that we have to solve as a Congress is to make sure that we knock down the barriers of export controls to share that nuclear technology. And that actually is going to be a task for this committee. Doctor, I don't know whether you had any comments you want to add to that.
Thank you. Yeah, just briefly, I think it's important to note that anything that improves our situational awareness in the Western Pacific and ability to operate there broadly is very good for our policy overall in the region and our interests in the region. And part of the reason for that is it's a visible demonstration to the CCP of how widespread the commitment is of its regional neighbors and beyond to certain standards and expectations of behavior. And that will limit and constrain the environment in which they're able to pursue their interests in ways that are at a minimum problematic and at most illegal and dangerous.
Great, thank you. And regarding the asymmetrical advantage of regional networks, again, just in the last month, we've had 2 announcements about the U.S. being able to have 4 new bases in the Philippines, as well as now some new rotational agreements with Japan. Again, Admiral, maybe you could just describe how that sort of fits into, what the discussion this morning.
Sure. So the Philippines is the key. I mean, they're at the point of the spear in the South China Sea. It's hard to imagine a fight with the PRC without being able to use bases on the Philippines. Separately, we have a long-standing relationship with the Philippines, some of it troubled, and this, I believe, will go a long way toward making us a better ally of them. They are an ally of the United States, but we need to be an ally for them, and I think this will help in that regard also. Sir, just back to your previous question, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get through this export control issue with Australia. I mean, we could have every good intention in the world, but we could be bound up by our own regulation and our own regulatory policy. So whatever can be done to relax that would be.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Lambert.